Yeah, come in. Good evening, take a seat. How are you? All set?
Yes, sir.
Had your lunch?
Yes, sir.
What did you have for lunch?
Sir, I had 2 rotis and sabji.
So just normal one.
Yes, sir.
So no special food at the academy?
So there is, but I have listened to it because I had an interview.
Yeah. Are you enjoying the training?
Definitely, sir.
What are the parts that you particularly enjoy?
Sir, I have had the opportunity to learn very new things in the academy right now. I'm a humanities student. I left science in my 10th standard, but now I'm learning engineering, signaling and telecom. So that is one thing that I find very interesting. Secondly, the academy has a very lovely sports complex. So that I've been enjoying a lot, sir.
Which sports?
It's a badminton.
Is it, you didn't start it afresh, right? You
Yes,
used to
I
play.
did.
You started playing now?
Yes.
Nice. What is the future of IRTS?
Sir, because of the proposal for railway mergers, the future of IRTS as a separate service is not clear right now because the modalities of merger have not been declared as of yet. But sir, I believe that because railways is a very important part of India's transport and development, the work that IRTS people do right now will remain constant.
What is the budget for railways in the latest budget?
Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact figures, but the budget has proposed a large-scale capital investment in railways to the tunes of, sir, if I have to guess, to the tunes of 7,000 crores per year, sir. I'm not very sure.
70,000?
Yes, sir, 70,000. Thanks.
That allocation is for what undertakings?
Sorry, sir, I have to read about
What
this.
are new ideas in the railway sector that government is considering?
Sir, the government is considering and has put forth a proposal for leasing out 150 tracks for the private players to run railways on. That is one thing. Secondly, the dedicated freight corridor and the changes in the underlying infrastructure for that is the second thing. And so thirdly, the move from mere transportation to a logistics sector is the third thing, sir.
This creeping actually privatization but in the garb of liberalization.
Yes, sir.
Is it welcome?
Sir, I think whether privatization is welcome or not depends upon what is the motive behind privatization. If the motive is because...
It depends on motive or it depends on goal?
Sir, yes sir, the goal. If the goal is because we lack managerial capacities, we have to hand over privatization, hand over to private companies, so then I don't think that privatization is a wise choice. But if the goal is to minimize government's functioning in non-essential areas and gradual capacity building of private players, then privatization is a way.
What do you think is the goal behind present policy declaration?
So regarding railways, because less than 1% of the railways have been given to private players, and that too only the transportation part, I don't think, sir, as of yet we can talk about railways privatization.
That's why I worded my question by saying creeping privatization in the garb of liberalization.
Yes, sir. Sir, I believe that transportation is not a sovereign function of the government. And that's why, as far as possible, the government should gradually move away from transportation. Having said that, there are essential functions that the railways play, such as military movement of essential goods. So modalities have to be seen before we take any large-scale structure.
What is operating ratio?
Sir, operating ratio in simple terms is the amount of rupees we spend to earn 1 rupee, so 100 paisas.
What is current operating ratio?
It is around 97 to 98.
This year has it gone down or has it improved?
Sir, it has improved because last year it was around 120, the operating ratio. So the railways were actually seen to be making losses, and now it has improved.
There was a time when railways were incurring profits
Yes,
to the tune of about 20,000 crore.
yes.
And then all profits were eaten up and railways again began to incur losses. What brought about this fall, if I may say?
Sir, if we go strictly by the operating ratio, the 120 rupees operating ratio was not an average. It was taken in a festive season, and that too, sir, of just 1 month. So simply based on that, sir, I don't think we can say that the railways were making huge losses. Because of the welfare activities that the railway is about to play, because it's not just a separate company, I think that managing to keep afloat even with 98 as operating ratio is a good achievement.
Do we need bullet train?
Definitely, sir.
Why?
Sir, bullet trains are a modern system of mass rapid transport, one. Secondly, inclusion of bullet train in our system will mean that the average speed of the railways will go up, which is very essential for decongestion. So thirdly, it will also lead to technology transfer and technology filtration, which can then improve the speed of the Rajdhanis first, then the Mail Express, so on and so forth.
Do we have national transportation policy?
Yes, sir.
Tell us the features.
Sorry, sir, I have no idea.
Because we don't have.
Yes, sir. Sorry,
Actually, what you did is think. What you did now is think. And first of all, imagine in the mind that it's just not possible that we don't have.
Yes, sir.
So let us say yes, sir, and fall for it, because there is no national transportation policy.
Thank you, sir.
You recently you mentioned that the transportation is not a sovereign function of the state, and again you are advocating the bullet train project, let's say. So who will fund the project? It is not the function of the state. Why state is essentially would invest into the bullet project? Why they should invest into it?
Sir, because right now the bullet train finances are with collaboration with Japan.
Yeah.
So sir, even when transportation is not a sovereign function, and I believe that we should make a gradual shift.
Yeah.
Right now, because the government is leading the railways and it is under the railways, sir, I believe that technology transfer to India is a proper sphere of government. So if I may give an example, even in road transports, when running buses may not be government functioning, building roads and creating good infrastructure is government's responsibility.
When you are tired, what kind of music do you listen to rejuvenate yourself and refresh and re-energize?
Sir, I love to listen to ghazals.
Can you, what is your favorite ghazal?
So my favorite ghazal is Ranjishi Sahi Dil Ki Dukhane Ke Liye.
It's by who?
Sir, by Faraz, Ahmed Faraz.
Is it not the Pakistan Ghulam Ali?
Sir, it has been sung by Mehdi Hassan, but written by Ahmed Faraz.
So you were asking
Maybe yes.
who wrote it?
No, listen, the one who sang.
And is there a reason why that is what evokes the strong sentiment in you, that particular ghazal?
Sir, mainly because that was one of the first few ghazals that I had heard.
Okay.
So it has stayed with me. No particular reason.
It's
It's
not
not a
because-
negative one.
Where do you like to walk? What kind of walking do you do?
Sir, I've been very fortunate to
For
live
ghazal,
around.
for half a minute I want to
Sure, sir.
discuss.
Yeah.
What is ghazal?
Sir, ghazal is a form of poetry which essentially means talking to a loved one. The origin of the ghazal as a form of poetry means talking to a loved one, and it is written in pairs of 2 couplets each with a rhyming end or a rhyming preceding end.
In Marathi literature, are there any outstanding ghazalkars?
Yes, sir. Suresh Bhatt is one of the most outstanding ghazalkars.
Please.
Tell us about walking as a hobby.
Sir, I've been very fortunate to live around in cities where there have been good walking spaces, hills. Now even in the campuses that I have been living, so very good walking spaces.
Okay.
And I believe that hobby is something that you do regularly. You like doing it, and it de-stresses you. And
Okay.
all the things stick from you.
On an average, how many kilometers do you walk?
So at least 6 to 7 kilometers a day.
And you prefer to walk alone and reflect on your thoughts, or do you like to walk with someone and have a walk and talk?
So there are 2 ways.
Okay.
In the mornings I walk alone. In the evenings post dinner, actually the friends, we walk together, talk about things.
Okay. And my last question, reading.
Yes, sir.
What kind of books do you like to read?
So I primarily read Marathi fiction, especially novels. But right now I'm trying to expand and I've started picking up Hindi books as well.
For instance, which books?
Sir, I've recently read just one book, sir, Suni Ghati Ka Suraj by Sheila Shukla.
Okay, and what does it deal with?
So it deals with plight of a young man who is very ideological and who is in love with a rich girl, and it talks about his story and how it is written in a autobiographical form.
And in English reading,
Who is the writer?
Sheila Jutlas.
You told me, sorry.
Yeah.
And isn't it a cliched standard story?
Yes,
Most
sir.
of the Hindi pictures also continue their trash on the same theme.
Sir, I believe that it is a standard story, but since I'm only beginning to read Hindi, I picked up that.
And what made you pick up Hindi book?
Sir, now that I am with a group of people who are coming from all of India, I believe that my Hindi knowledge was very less, and I thought of improving it.
Yeah.
So Trump has declared that India is no longer a developing nation, it is a developed one like China. Discuss the merits and demerits of this.
Sir, India being declared as a developed nation, especially by USA, means that our image in the world as a proactive player in the world is increasing. Firstly, sir, very sorry. I believe that the reverse has happened, sir. India's status as a developed nation has been taken away, and India has now been our status has been degraded. If I'm not wrong,
Is
sir,
it?
that is what.
I thought it was not the way around.
No, sir. Sir, I believe that the status has been degraded, not upgraded. Sir.
I
thought it
wonder
was-
whether two of you are talking two different things. He is referring to Trump statements,
Yes, sir.
and I think you are referring to some official decisions
Yes.
of US government.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
On the
I'm not
heels
very
of Trump visiting India,
sure.
he has said that India is no longer a developing nation, it is a developed nation in his view.
Sir, I believe that in that case it suggests India's rising power as a proactive player in the world market rather than just a passive looker of the economic and political policies.
And what is this degradation about?
Sir, the degradation, I don't have much
Where's the
knowledge
phrase
about
for
it. Sir, but it basically degraded India's economic status from a highly developing country to not.
Yeah.
The communication is very good quality and you have just revealed it. Tell me, how did you prepare yourself for eloquency competitions? It is there. How did you prepare for those competitions, or how could you win those laurels in competitions?
So firstly, before the competition, I try to research as thoroughly as possible about the topic. I discuss it with people and then come up with 6 or 7 points in a structured manner. I often write down my speeches, and during the competition, sir, I try to listen very carefully to what the other candidates are speaking so as to improve my speech.
Yeah. Keep it apart debate, no? Counseling. If you are required to do counseling, then listening is also equally important as important speaking is. So what are the skills, listening skills? Can you just tell me 1, 2, 3, these are the qualities of a good listener?
Sir, patience, the ability to not judge and listen to the other side of the
Listen
story.
to understand rather than
Than to judge, sir. And sir, thirdly, trying to find out answers while you are listening, especially in a counseling scenarios.
Are we discussing qualities of a good husband? Patience, listening to what other is saying.
empathic listening is also one of the qualities. You should be in a mood of the speaker. He is speaking, is he explaining something surprising? Your face should reflect
Yes, sir.
in that same tone, the same mood.
Yes, sir.
So that's also a quality. Fine, good.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Can you give us your analysis of past 3 attempts?
Yes, sir. My first 2 attempts, I would say, were very ill prepared. Even I was taken by surprise when I cleared the first prelims, and I was not very prepared for writing the mains, and that's why I failed it. So the third attempt, I tried to structure my attempts better. I made sure that I'm ticking all the essential boxes such as writing practice, covering all of your optional, and I prepared thoroughly for the interview, and that's why I think
How many marks did you get in the interview?
190.
190, that's a very good score. So how come you ended up with IRTS and not IAS?
Sir, my optional marks were not as expected, and I also scored low in essay, which I believe I should have scored better.
So what was your options?
History, sir.
History.
So it has been history throughout?
Yes,
Okay. Even this time?
yes.
What aspect of history do you like to?
No, before that, just this same lineup. The steps to improve performance in mains.
Yes, sir.
What did you do?
So first and foremost, which I lacked in first 2 attempts, is covering the syllabus. I failed to cover the syllabus, which was the basic necessity of UPSC. So that I corrected in the third attempt. Secondly, I focused more on writing practice than on just reading. And thirdly, sir, I also tried to improve the way I am structuring and presenting my answers.
And you say,
Sir, essay again, I read up on the essays of various toppers, how they have structured their essays, because what I found was my essays were lacking structure. Even though they had good points, they were very hard to come about. So I improved them.
So you think you have done better in this means?
Yes, sir.
You have a hunch that you have done better?
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
What history would you like to have to be asked questions on?
So medieval India is my favorite part in history.
Okay, that's not my core expertise. I'll leave it here.
when repeated invasions happened and India met with defeat after defeat,
Yes, sir.
that's your favorite time?
Sir, it is not about what happened, but how it happened. What I liked about medieval India is how various forces, good or bad, came about in the very short span of time, and they made some societal changes, some structural changes, the rise of Rajputs as a clan, the rise of the changes in the land holding pattern. So I can find personally various themes of disturbance and emergence in medieval India more than modern India or world history. That's why I find it.
Actually, in light of what happened during medieval India, I find it a miracle that Indian civilization has survived.
What role did the Bhakti movement play in that survival?
So the Bhakti movement, which started in the southern parts of India and then moved across, has done a job of conscience keeper of the Indians during medieval times. It has so there are two ways to look at it. One which says that it was escapism, other which says that the Bhakti movement actually ignited in people the ability to hold forth during the troubled times, and I subscribe to the second opinion.
What's the connection of this Bhakti movement with Dr. R.C. Dhere?
Yes, sir. Dr. R.C. Dhere is an Indologist, and he has written extensively on Bhakti movement in Maharashtra, especially the Warkari movement. His thesis about the origin of Vitthal is very famous.
What led to Maratha Empire to dissolution finally? What was the main reasons of dissolution of the empire?
So the dissolution of Maratha Empire in 1818 can be ascribed to various reasons, but personally I believe that the flaws in the formation of the empire, not in the initial stages of Shivaji Maharaj, but later when there were many facets within the empire and they were conflicting within themselves, there was no proper economic structure, and mainly the revenues of the Maratha Empire were based on Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. So I believe that these are the two reasons which led to the eventual fall.
Okay.
Why does Vitthal stand?
No, then for a minute I thought casteism is the main reason of downfall of Maratha Empire.
Yes, sir. So to some extent that is true, because we can see the evidence of casteism in how the court of Peshwas used to function.
Your
However, sir,
attempt at linking every historical phenomenon with economic factors
yes, sir.
seems to emerge from unquestionable dedication to Romila Thapar.
No, sir. Very frankly, I have not even read Romila Thapar's books, sir.
Yeah. Where does Vitthal stand on one brick, static?
So there's a story that there was a bhakta, I'm very sorry, I'm forgetting his name right now, who was so engrossed while helping his mother and father that when Vitthal came to help him, Vitthal came to meet him, he threw a brick at Vitthal and asked him to stand there to wait there till he was done caring for his parents.
So these stories, like what happened to Vitthal and why is static, or the story of Shravan Kumar from the Ramayana, etc. This is designed to produce a certain excessive love and pedestalization of parents, which prevents youth from thinking independently in the country and really taking care of themselves. We have a very different philosophy around child-parent relationships.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not talking of small children, grown children. So what do you think about that?
Sir, I don't think the stories try to imbibe an excessive sense of love for your parents. I believe that they try to, yes, definitely imbibe love for parents, but not excessive, because we have stories where there have the conflict between the parents and the children have also been shown.
For instance?
So
Well, you seem to be saying that conflict represents independent thinking.
No, sir, but the lack of stories which depict conflict would mean that we are trying to imbibe an excessive sense of devotion to the parents. The fact that there are also stories which talk about disagreements between parents.
No, but the whole line of argument is, you are saying there are stories of disagreement, thus it proves that there is independent thinking.
Sir, I believe that proves that we are not idolizing our parents, that we are talking about love without idolizing the parents.
So we have this concept where children are brought up, I've heard it growing up, Mata Pita Guru Deva,
Yes.
right? So this tends to elevate the Guru to the status of, Mata Pita, they have this sense of sacrifice for you, and so does God. But this whole concept of the Guru-Shishya relationship, sometimes, especially and now in recent terms in Buddhism, has got a bad press because of exploitation. Why is this happening, and should there be a correction in our view towards the Guru-Shishya relationship?
Sir, I'm not aware about the developments in the context of Buddhism.
Yeah.
But sir,
I can tell you that there are Me Too allegations
Yes.
that happened. Yeah.
Sir, I think that if we're talking about sexual harassment or the Me Too, there is definitely a sort of very fiduciary relationship that a guru, especially in a religious context, holds towards his or her.
I'm sorry, I don't know the meaning of the word fiduciary. What does it mean?
Sir, fiduciary means a parent-like, where the person has
Understood, okay.
sir,
Got it.
trust, a lot of trust, and that's
Right,
what it is.
and that
So-
becomes a power dynamic.
Yes, sir. This same can be seen in the allegation on Vatican priests regarding
Right.
child abuse.
Understood.
Why is Kokand called Kokand?
So there's a theory that it is called so because it is at the corner, and the word emerges from Kodkana, which means that area which is at the corner of the world.
There is another word also for Kokand.
Yes, sir. Sir, right now I'm not.
It's more Sanskrit.
Yes, sir. Sir, I know the word. I'm not.
Okay. Why is Kokand known as the land of Parshuram?
So there's a story in our myths that, or the Puranas, that Parshuram, who was a sage, defeated the ocean and created the land for himself.
There is a typical dialect spoken in Sindhudurga district.
Yes, sir.
What is that dialect?
Malwani dialect.
How is it different from Marathi?
Sir, in Malwani, the suffixes that are used, they change from, sir, if I may give an example, they change from sa, which is tyatsa, to ka, which is tyaka. So this is one of the primary differences.
How is it different from Konkani, or is it a dialect of Konkani?
So linguistically, Malwani is considered dialect of Konkani and not of Marathi. However, administratively, it is considered a subpart of Marathi-speaking languages. The difference in Malwani and Konkani is more about vocabulary, sir. So both the language communities are able to understand each other, but because of the vocabulary differences, they might not be able to speak the language.
There are various art forms
Yes, sir.
in Konkan.
Yes, sir.
What are they?
So there's something called Chitrakathi, Sandanacha Bahulya, and the most famous one is Dashavatar, sir.
Is drama picking up these days? There is according to me, there is a vibrant movement of drama in Konkan.
Sir, I believe drama has always been an integral part of the life of Konkan, especially if you look at Dashavatar, the Jatra plays. Now, in current times, it is getting modernized. It is getting more, the themes are improving, but I don't think that's a recent phenomenon, sir. Drama has always been an integral part.
Who started Vasant Vyakhanmala?
It was started by Mahadev Govinda, Justice Ramade.
And it's very curious, you have selected history as optional, you
Yes,
have
sir.
studied LLB, and then you have done MA.
Yes, sir.
Why not LLM?
Sir, I wanted to pursue Marathi literature because reading is my hobby, and I thought that I should know more about the structural parts of Marathi literature, the history behind it, and that's why I pursued it. more as a hobby than as a academic discipline.
And why did you not take law as your optional then?
So there are two reasons. I had started learning history at graduation level but had to leave it midway. So I thought that for getting history as an optional would, I'll get to know more about it. So secondly, from where I have studied, there was no practical guidance for law. For practical reasons also, I chose history over law.
What is a grandfather clause?
You are criticizing ILS?
No sir, ILS is definitely a good institution for legal education per se, but I believe it requires a certain kind of exposition for law for UPSC sir, that was lacking when I was studying.
Yeah, my question was, what is a grandfather clause?
Sorry sir, I'm not aware of that.
It's part of IPR.
Yes sir. No sir, sorry sir.
Yeah, Britishers coming to India is a blessing to this country. This is what the resolution passed by Congress when it was formed in 1885.
Yes sir.
I think from other point of view also it's a blessing because of Britishers, India could be united. We found a common enemy. Otherwise there were various states and various kings and all that. But Britishers came there, so it was a common enemy. So it helped India to unite. What is your opinion about this? That point of view, if you see Britishers coming to India, is a blessing for India.
Sir, I think we have to look at the intentions of the British than the accidental outcomes that happened because of them being here while describing the Britishers as a blessing or not. And on that count, I don't think sir, the Britishers coming in India was a blessing.
Along the same lines as Sir's question, I have a corollary. Don't you think Modi and Amit Shah, Prime Minister and Home Minister, have actually done a great favor to Islam globally, right? For the first time in 1,400 years, they are united as a community, right? Whereas they were divided into Shia, Sunni, this, that, and the other, right? Actually, there are more than 180 communities, and they have all come together. You go to any Shaheen Bagh, they are all sitting together.
Yes, sir.
So, isn't this a great favor that our government has done to the Muslim community?
Sir, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree because this argument assumes that Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah are against the Muslims, which I believe.
No, I didn't say that. I said that they have done a favor by uniting the Muslims, by treating them as one block.
Sir, to the extent of treating the Muslim laws, personal laws, so for example the issue of triple talaq or now the issue of CAA, I think there is a difference to be made. In case of personal laws, yes, the Muslims have been treated as a whole block without looking at the differences in their personal laws. If you are referring to Shaheen Bagh and the protest regarding CAA, I think sir, this act is not against Muslims because it does not debar Muslims any citizenry rights in India.
And I thought you would also respond to the part about Muslims uniting. Are they uniting?
Sir, there have been instances where some Shia Maulvis
I
have
still
said
don't think
that.
they are united.
Yes, sir. The Shia
Look at
Maulvis
Yemen,
have.
Saudi Arabia versus Iran.
Yes, sir.
Shias in India have backed Ram Janmabhoomi.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard the term of Inquisition?
Yes, sir.
In which context it is referred to?
Sir, I have heard it in reference of religious wars between Christianity and Muslims.
Okay, I was particularly referring to the Goa.
Yes, sir.
So you can.
So the Portuguese, when they held political power in Goa, they tried to forcefully convert the Goan native Hindus to Christianity, and sometimes, many a times, they have used brutal means to convert. The whole process is called Inquisition, and it has, so to my limited knowledge, has a certain religious meaning in Catholic Christianity as well.
The presidency of European Union will go to Portugal soon. What impact would it have on India?
Sir, because there is a civilizational, very bad precedent for that. But for example, the Goan citizens have citizenry rights in Portugal. So it may open another gate for India to enter into Europe. We may be able to exploit or we may be able to explore the historical ties of the Goan and the Portuguese community, and it can also help us in diversifying our entry points in Europe from the dominant French and the German and the British to now Spanish or Portuguese speaking countries.
What makes Sambhaji an important figure in the Goan context? Sambhaji Maharaj?
Yes, sir. So Sambhaji Maharaj had tried to win Goa multiple times from the Portuguese, and on his way to winning Janjira and then the southern countries, he had invaded Goa multiple times.
In terms of Maratha Empire, 1818 you referred to. You know, there is historical importance of Bhima Koregaon.
Yes, sir.
So what is that event and why is it in the news?
So
Especially
Bhima
in
Koregaon was one of the battles that was fought during the Third Anglo-Maratha Wars, where the huge army of the Peshwas was defeated by the British forces, which primarily had what was then called the Mahar Regiment. And in recent times, the issue has again been brought into the news because of the riots that happened 2 years ago during the commemoration day of Bhima Koregaon.
Right. So that is less economic and more casteist.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Next to Karnataka being adjacent to Maharashtra,
So,
is there any other reason why you have preferred Karnataka as a cadre choice next to Maharashtra?
no, sir, it was more of a personal choice. I have relatives in Karnataka. I find that I am more comfortable and I am more at ease with Karnataka or
Actually,
Andhra.
having
than-
relatives is actually dangerous for an administrator.
Yes, sir. So I was just pointing that out to make a point that I am more comfortable in Karnataka and Andhra and southern states than the northern states. So it's a personal choice, sir.
Will UK break up?
So there are certainly talks going on regarding the Scottish independence or now the issue of the backstop in Ireland. But sir, I don't think that the UK will break up because of the long civilizational ties that the country or the United Kingdom holds within itself.
India held an action or whatever, something with respect to Madagascar recently. What is it that we did?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, you're asking something?
I was asking something on this breakup issue. If Pakistan breaks up, will it help us or will it create new problems for us?
आपके मुंह में बेशक कर।
Sir, that depends upon how Pakistan breaks up and whether India has a prominent role to play in that regard, or whether China picks up that opportunity or any other country picks
By
up that
any
opportunity.
modus operandi, Pakistan breaks up into its component provinces: independent Balochistan, independent Sindh, and all that is left is a rump West Punjab, which has then to consider absorption into India is the only viable option for survival.
Sir, if a viable, vibrant political structure is created in the states that have been broken up now, then it will be very beneficial for India. But otherwise, if the undemocratic or haphazard political situation continues, then that we are creating more spaces to formulate a security policy, because that will create more insurgencies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the
Thanks.
best.